There's no doubt that Sumner's leg making contact with Mitchell's right here before he lands is primarily what led to Mitchell ultimately spraining his ankle, because it threw off his expected landing as he was coming down on this play. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. Another NBA star has gotten injured, this time with Donovan Mitchell suffering a right ankle sprain. This was the play where Mitchell was injured, and remember, it was his right side that we're looking at here. And so as he's kind of going out to get this ball, you can see how that ankle goes into a severe amount of inversion. We'll compare with LeBron James, but remember that inversion is when the ankle kind of rolls this way, where that outer portion of the ankle is closer to the ground. This was LeBron's ankle sprain, and while it wasn't pure eversion, this is more of an eversion position than what happened with Mitchell. Here you can see LeBron's inner portion of the ankle comes down closer to the court, so more indicative of eversion compared to what we see with Mitchell here, where again, that outside portion goes down to the court, classic inversion sprain. Now this might look like it was non-contact, meaning he didn't step on anybody's foot, but there was no doubt that contact from a Pacers player led to this in part happening. As Mitchell's coming down here, there's nothing that his foot's gonna land on. He's gonna land totally normal with no injury. But then as he comes down, this Pacer player's leg makes contact with that front part of Mitchell's leg, and that kind of disturbs his body's positioning and his neuromuscular control in a way that throws off his expected landing pattern and contributes to the sprain. We can see it here in this view as well. There's nothing underneath Mitchell's foot that he's gonna step on or land on, but here as he comes down, the Pacers player's leg swings around, hits Mitchell in the front of the leg, and that does just enough to knock off his positioning and his balance to lead to that sprain. Now people are gonna see that and think that Sumner was somehow trying to intentionally trip him, and of course we have no idea what's going on in his head, but if you look at what he was doing on that play, he was making this kind of full court pass, and so as he's doing that, his body's momentum is naturally kind of rotating here. Before he even lets go of that ball, you can see his shoulders and his hips are rotating. And so he's got understandable momentum with that right leg kind of rotating and swinging out. When you do something like that, it's easier to just kind of let the body go instead of trying to like volitionally stop that rotational momentum that he's got. But there's no doubt that then as that leg kind of swings around, it knocks into Mitchell and contributes right there, that contact, to throwing off his body enough to lead to that unexpected landing and then the ankle sprain. Now Mitchell's x-rays were negative and he's scheduled for an MRI later tonight, and that's gonna be to look at which of these ligaments is injured and how much it's injured on the outer portion of his ankle. With my biodigital anatomy tool, I've got the main ankle ligaments highlighted that we think of with an ankle sprain. And first off, these two that are higher up here in pink, those are the ankle ligaments with a high ankle sprain. That's not at all the mechanism here that we can see with Mitchell, and so I don't think we have to be concerned about those. Of course, those are the ankle ligaments that we worry about having a much longer recovery, like what's happened with LeBron James. In Mitchell's case with a true inversion or lateral ankle sprain, if we're looking front on at the ankle here, this portion is going to be the lateral side. This is going to be the medial side. So Mitchell's injury is going to injure these lateral ligaments. Of those ligaments, there's three primary ones, and the one that's most commonly injured is the ATFL. It's highlighted here in red and runs between the fibula and the talus and is in the front of the ankle. Now this ATFL is the one that's most commonly injured with an ankle sprain, and it's typically injured when the foot is inverted when it's plantar flexed or the toes are pointed downward. If you look in the normal resting position, the ligament kind of runs in this plane, but if we rotate the foot down to plantar flex, that's gonna pull the ligament down this way a little bit more, and it's gonna make it tighter. It's gonna stretch that ligament more when the feet are planted down. So the mechanism for when this ATFL is usually torn is when the toes are plantar flexed or the foot is pointed downwards. If we look at Mitchell's case here, whenever he lands, you can see in this view how his foot looks to be actually a little bit dorsiflexed, meaning this angle here is kind of where the toes are pulled upwards. If we look at this other view, kind of the first moment where his ankle goes into that eversion pattern to stress those ligaments, it looks like he's already kind of over the Pacers player enough to where it looks to me like there's some dorsiflexion in that ankle. So knowing that, I'd say there was a chance that this CFL ligament was also injured here, but really we just have to see what the MRI shows. Recovery period really depends more on the severity of the tear as opposed to which specific ligament when we get down into these lateral ankle sprains. Now, I wouldn't expect this to be season ending for Mitchell, but I would expect him to miss some time. Even just a grade 1 or a grade 2 sprain, which is essentially partial tearing within the ligament, is probably going to have him out for at least a week or so. So we'll see tonight what the MRI shows to get a sense of what Mitchell's absence is going to be. The bigger thing to think of here is really the risk of a recurrent ankle sprain whenever he comes back whenever it's down the road, like in the playoffs. The actual ligament tissue itself takes longer to heal than the time frame for when guys return, and so you're at this risk of an increased sprain chance during that initial return period, which can then make ultimate recovery much longer. So the bigger thing is going to be, hopefully we see him wearing ankle supports, and hopefully he's able to avoid another ankle sprain later in the season. That's it for the video, everybody. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.